In a 40-year-old house in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, there was a tradition of family gatherings every Sunday evening. Lisa Wilson took a deep breath at the front door of her childhood home as she helped her 5-year-old son Ethan out of her used Honda Civic. For this single mother, these weekly family dinners felt more like an obligation. "Mommy, this is Grandma's house," Ethan said excitedly, tugging on her hand. The curious little boy always looked forward to visiting his grandmother's house. Lisa looked at her son's innocent smile and felt her mood lighten just a bit. Her income as a part-time library clerk wasn't much, but Ethan's brightness was her greatest support. Before the front door opened, they could hear a large dog barking from inside. Rocky, the pit bull that Kayla owned, must have sensed visitors. Lisa unconsciously gripped Ethan's hand tighter. "Lisa, Ethan, you must be tired," her mother Dorothy appeared at the front door. Dorothy, a former elementary school teacher, maintained her teaching authority even after retirement. With her graying hair neatly arranged and her posture always perfectly straight, she looked as if she could still be standing at the front of a classroom. "Hello, Mom," Lisa said, exchanging a light hug. "Ethan, you've gotten so big. It feels like we just saw you last week," Dorothy said, gently patting her grandson's head. However, there was something complicated in her expression. When they entered the living room, her sister Kayla was already sitting on the sofa. She was a hairstylist who worked at a local salon while raising 2 children. Sitting next to Kayla was Rocky, a muscular pit bull. This 3-year-old dog was something Kayla had taken from her ex-husband after their divorce. "Hey, there, big sister," Kayla waved lightly, but there was a subtle edge to her voice. "Ethan looks healthy too." "You too, Kayla." "Where are the kids?" "They're at their father's place today." "Only twice a month for visits," Kayla shrugged. "But he barely pays child support, yet spoils them with sweets whenever he sees them. It's frustrating." While Dorothy brought food from the kitchen, the 3 women continued their small talk. However, there was a subtle tension in the air. The source of this tension was the inheritance from their father, Robert Hartman, who had died 3 years ago. Robert had been a serious man who worked as a sales manager at a local insurance company during his lifetime. In his will, he had left $100,000 as an education fund for his grandson Ethan. This inheritance was to be managed by Lisa until Ethan turned 18. Meanwhile, Kayla's 2 children received no special inheritance from their grandfather. "Dad really did adore Ethan," Dorothy murmured while preparing dinner. Kayla's chopsticks paused for a moment. "Yes, he seemed special to him." Lisa detected the emotion in her sister's voice. Since their father's death, Kayla had brought up this topic several times. Although she had never directly expressed her dissatisfaction, it was clear from her attitude that she had complex feelings about it. "Ethan, eat your vegetables too," Lisa turned her attention to her son. Ethan was staring at the broccoli with a distasteful expression. "Mommy, this is too green." "It's good for you because it's green. Your daddy grew up big and strong eating lots of vegetables," Dorothy said gently. This casual comment created another subtle tension in the air. Lisa's divorce from her ex-husband Michael had been finalized 3 years ago. Michael had worked at a construction company but had a gambling addiction that put pressure on the family finances. Eventually, his debts piled up and Lisa decided on divorce. Currently, Michael visited Ethan once a month, but his child support payments were irregular. "It must be hard for you too. Raising a child alone," Kayla said. Her words contained both sympathy and a hint of superiority. "Well, I'm managing somehow," Lisa replied modestly. In reality, Lisa's life was far from easy. Her income from the library was limited, and considering Ethan's daycare costs and living expenses, their monthly budget was a constant balancing act. However, thanks to her father's inheritance, she at least didn't have to worry about Ethan's future education. Rocky suddenly stood up and approached Ethan. The little boy pulled back slightly at the large dog's approach. "Rocky's fine. He loves people," Kayla said, petting the dog's head. "But sometimes he gets a little too excited. Especially when he sees children." Lisa pulled her son closer to her. "Ethan, keep some distance from Rocky." Aren't you being a bit overprotective? Kayla laughed lightly. Children learn so much from interacting with animals. Dorothy said while cutting apple pie for dessert. That's true. But safety first. Large dogs especially have so much strength. As dinner was nearing its end, Ethan said he wanted to play in the yard. Mommy, can I play outside? Lisa looked at her watch. There was still time before dark. Just for a little while. After finishing cleaning up from dinner, Lisa was washing dishes in the kitchen with Dorothy. In the living room, Kayla sat on the sofa looking at her smartphone. Rocky lay at her feet, occasionally glancing toward Ethan. Ethan sat on the floor playing with the small toy cars he had brought. Mom, doesn't Kayla seem strange lately? Lisa asked her mother in a low voice. Dorothy answered while drying dishes, that child is having a hard time too. Child support from her ex-husband is barely $300 a month. Raising 2 children on a hairstylist's income alone is tough. But that's a separate issue from Dad's inheritance, isn't it? That's true. But the human heart is complicated. Especially when money is involved, Dorothy showed a meaningful expression. You be careful too. Just because someone is family doesn't mean everything is beautiful. Just then, Kayla's voice could be heard from the living room. Big sister, I need to talk to you about something. Lisa came out of the kitchen and sat in front of Kayla. What is it? Kayla put down her smartphone and became serious. It's about Ethan's education fund. Lisa's spine tensed. What about it? I've been thinking about this for a long time. Dad leaving $100,000 just to Ethan, I think that's really unfair. Kayla's voice was clearly filled with dissatisfaction. My children are Dad's grandchildren too. But they don't get anything. Kayla, that was Dad's will. It's not something we decided. Lisa tried to respond calmly, but her wariness was growing. But think about it. Ethan is only 5 years old. We don't even know if he'll go to college. Maybe he'll hate studying and not even graduate high school. Kayla leaned forward. And yet, he gets to monopolize $100,000. Dorothy came out of the kitchen. Kayla, what are you saying? Mom, listen to this too. I think it's unfair. Dad's inheritance should have been divided equally among all the grandchildren. Kayla appealed to her mother. Emily and Jacob are Dad's blood too. But only Ethan gets special treatment. Lisa took a deep breath. Kayla, Dad must have had his reasons for deciding that. Dad was really worried about Ethan's future while he was alive. Because of my divorce, he was concerned about education costs. That's just rationalization, Kayla said coldly. The real reason is that you were Dad's favorite, isn't it? Dad was always praising you. Lisa is so responsible, Lisa is so serious. Dorothy intervened. Kayla, that's not true. Dad loved all 3 grandchildren equally. But the inheritance isn't equal. Kayla's voice grew louder. Emily turns 8 this year. Jacob is 6. Both of them love studying and say they want to go to college. But I don't have that money. Lisa felt conflicted listening to her sister's words. It was true that Kayla's financial situation was difficult. However, that wasn't a reason to change their father's will. Kayla, I'm not having it easy either. Raising Ethan on a part-time library clerk's salary is hard. Just because Dad left us an inheritance doesn't mean we've become wealthy. But at least you don't have to worry about the future, right? Kayla stood up. I worry about my children's future every day. I don't know if I'll be able to send them to college. Rocky sensed Kayla's agitation and began moving restlessly. Lisa could see the large dog's body tense up. Kayla, calm down, Dorothy tried to soothe her daughter. Calm down? Don't you feel the same way, Mom? Don't you think it's strange that only one of the 3 grandchildren gets special treatment? Dorothy looked confused. It was Dad's wish. Dad's wish? Kayla snorted. You mean the will he wrote when he was getting senile? Dad wasn't capable of making normal decisions back then. Lisa stood up. Kayla, that's going too far. Dad was clear-headed until the end. Even the lawyer confirmed that Dad's mental capacity was fine. How convenient, Kayla crossed her arms. But I don't know what you whispered in Dad's ear. What I whispered? Lisa's voice trembled. Do you think I said something to Dad? Who knows, Kayla's eyes held a cold light. But the result is that only your son got the big money. At this point, Ethan sensed the hostile atmosphere between the two mothers and stood up anxiously. Mommy, what's wrong? Lisa tried to smile at her son, but her smile was strained. It's nothing, Ethan. But Aunt Kayla seems angry. Ethan held his mother's hand. Kayla softened her expression momentarily upon hearing her nephew's words. However, she quickly became stern again. I'm not angry, Ethan. The adults are just talking. Adult talk? Ethan tilted his head. About money? Dorothy hurriedly tried to distract her grandson. Ethan, you said you wanted to play in the yard, right? Want to go outside for a bit before it gets dark? Ethan's face brightened. Yes. I want to play in the yard. However, Kayla continued the conversation. Big sister, I'm serious about this. I think this inheritance issue should be discussed by the whole family. I might even consult with a lawyer. Lisa was surprised. Consult with a lawyer? For what? About redistributing the inheritance. To have them legally investigate whether there were any problems with Dad's will, Kayla showed a determined expression. I have the right to protect my children. Kayla, stop this, Dorothy raised her voice. Dad would be crying in heaven. But this way, my children are the ones suffering. Kayla's eyes filled with tears. I want to be a good mother too. I want to give my children a good education. Lisa felt pain seeing her sister's tears. She could certainly understand Kayla's position. However, overturning their father's will felt like a betrayal of their father. Kayla, having family fight over money is what would make Dad saddest, Lisa said gently. We're sisters, aren't we? We should support each other. Support each other? Kayla laughed bitterly. You can say that because you have $100,000 in inheritance. If you were in my position, could you say the same thing? At this moment, Ethan spoke up again. Mommy, I want to go outside and play. Lisa looked down at her son. Being in this hostile atmosphere wasn't good for a 5-year-old child. You're right, Ethan. Let's go play in the yard. Lisa stood up. Kayla also stood up and grabbed Rocky's collar. We'll come too. Rocky needs exercise. Dorothy watched the three of them with concern. The backyard in the evening had Ohio's characteristic cool autumn breeze. Dorothy's backyard wasn't particularly large, but it was spacious enough for Ethan to run around. On the grass, fallen leaves created a carpet of yellow and red. Lisa sat on the garden bench, watching her son run around innocently. Kayla stood in the corner of the yard holding Rocky's leash. The large pit bull was trembling with his muscular body, snorting excitedly. Kayla's expression remained stern from the earlier conversation. Ethan, don't run around so much. You might fall, Lisa called to her son. I'm fine, Mommy. I'm fast. Ethan answered, waving while looking back. His smile was carefree, as if he had forgotten all about the adults' hostile atmosphere from earlier. Dorothy stuck her head out of the kitchen window. Everyone, tea is ready. Let's come inside before it gets cold. However, Kayla remained in the yard. Mom, I'll stay outside a bit longer. Rocky still seems to need more exercise. Lisa said, concerned about her sister's state. Kayla, about what we talked about earlier, let's discuss it calmly again. Getting emotional won't solve anything. Emotional? Kayla turned around. You can say that because you're in an advantageous position. You don't care about my feelings, do you? That's not true. I'm thinking about the family too, Lisa stood up. But I can't change Dad's will. At this moment, Ethan stopped in the center of the yard. He had found a beautiful red leaf on the ground. Mommy, look. Such a pretty leaf. The 5-year-old boy picked up the leaf and ran toward his mother excitedly to show it to her. At that moment, Ethan's vision caught sight of the large dog. Wow, Rocky. Ethan showed interest in the dog and approached with the leaf in his hand. Lisa hurried to stop her son. Ethan, don't go near Rocky. However, Ethan didn't listen to his mother's restraint and innocently walked toward Rocky. Rocky, this leaf is pretty, isn't it? Rocky became excited at Ethan's approach, wagging his tail and snorting. Kayla was holding the leash but lost her balance slightly from the dog's powerful pull. Ethan, it's dangerous, back away. Lisa tried to run over, but at that moment, unbelievable words flew from Kayla's mouth. Rocky, bite him. Those words echoed across the yard. Lisa doubted her own ears for a moment. She couldn't believe her sister had really said such a thing. Rocky immediately responded when he heard Kayla's command. The trained dog's instincts kicked in, and he bared his fangs toward Ethan, who stood in front of him. Ethan. Lisa screamed, but it was too late. The pit bull's powerful jaws bit into Ethan's right arm. The sharp fangs sank deep into the 5-year-old boy's thin arm. The red leaf fell from Ethan's hand and scattered to the ground. Ethan's scream echoed through the yard. Rocky released his bite after just one attack, but that moment was enough. Blood flowed from Ethan's arm, and his small body trembled with pain and fear. Lisa rushed to her son and held his bloody arm. Ethan, it's okay. Mommy's here. However, the most shocking thing was Kayla's reaction. Her sister saw the dog's attack and began laughing out loud. Hey, maybe he looked like dog food? Kayla's laughter echoed eerily through the yard. Lisa stared at her sister's face and felt chilled to her core. Was this person really her sister? Was she a human being who could laugh while watching her bleeding, screaming nephew? Kayla, what did you do? Lisa screamed. Dorothy heard the noise from the kitchen and rushed out to the yard. Seeing her grandson's cries and the bloody scene, she was momentarily speechless. Mom, call an ambulance. Lisa desperately screamed. However, Dorothy's reaction was also unbelievable to Lisa. Her mother looked at Lisa with cold eyes and sighed. How dramatic. You're being too overprotective. Lisa felt like it was the end of the world hearing her mother's words. Her son was bleeding and crying, yet the grandmother's words were utterly cold. Overprotective? Ethan is injured. But it's not that serious an injury, is it? Children fall and get hurt all the time. If you make a fuss every time, the child will become weak, Dorothy said in her former teacher tone. Kayla burst into laughter again. That's right, big sister. Children need to get hurt a little to become strong. My children have had worse injuries and didn't even cry. Lisa trembled at her family's coldness while holding her son's arm. Ethan's wound was deep and needed to be treated. However, none of her family members tried to help her. Mom, please call an ambulance, Lisa pleaded again. How dramatic, Dorothy shook her head. A band-aid would be enough. At this moment, Lisa made a crucial decision. She couldn't expect help from her family. She had to protect her son herself. Ethan, let's go to the hospital with Mommy, Lisa picked up her son. Hospital? Kayla frowned. There's no need for that, is there? It's just a dog bite. In the old days, we just spit on it and that would be the end of it. Kayla, you commanded the dog to bite. Lisa said with a trembling voice. Me? Did I say something like that? Kayla put on an innocent expression. Rocky just got excited on his own, didn't he? Dogs are like that. Dorothy also sided with her daughter. That's right, Lisa. Kayla wouldn't say something like that. You're upset, so you must have misheard. Lisa felt desperate. Her entire family was conspiring to cover up the facts. However, her son's life was the priority now. Ethan, hang in there. We're going to the hospital right away. Ethan nodded weakly in his mother's arms, enduring the pain. Mommy, it hurts. I know. But the doctor will fix it. Lisa carried her son toward the car. None of her family members tried to stop her. On the contrary, Kayla burst into laughter again. Big sister, you're really overprotective. Going to the hospital for something like this is a waste of money. While opening the car door, Lisa turned around. Kayla, you're terrible. I'll never forget what you did. I didn't do anything, Kayla answered calmly. I was just watching my nephew play nicely with the dog. Lisa started the car engine. Ethan was crying softly in the back seat. She would never forget this day for the rest of her life. And she realized that her relationship with her family would never be the same again. The emergency room at Columbus General Hospital was relatively quiet for a Sunday evening. Lisa rushed to the reception desk carrying the bloody Ethan. The nurse immediately understood the seriousness of the situation and guided them to a treatment room. Ma'am, how did your child get injured? Asked Dr. Jenkins, the attending physician. He was bitten by a dog. A pit bull, Lisa answered with a trembling voice. Are the dog's vaccinations confirmed? Yes, he's had his rabies vaccination. It's my sister's dog. Dr. Jenkins carefully examined Ethan's wound. This is quite a deep bite wound. Stitches will be necessary. Fortunately, it didn't reach the bone, but there's a risk of infection. While the treatment began, Lisa continued holding her son's hand. Ethan, it hurts, but be patient. It'll be over soon. Mommy, why was Aunt Kayla laughing? Ethan asked in a small voice. Lisa was at a loss for words. She didn't know how to explain this to her 5-year-old son. I don't know. But it's okay, now. After the treatment was finished, Dr. Jenkins faced Lisa with a serious expression. Ma'am, could you tell me more details about how this injury occurred? What do you mean? Actually, judging from the depth and location of this wound, it doesn't look like the dog bit accidentally. It looks as if the dog attacked intentionally. Lisa's heart pounded violently. The doctor's professional eye had seen through the truth. Actually, my sister commanded the dog to a bite. Lisa decided to tell the truth. Dr. Jenkins's expression changed completely. That's a very serious matter. Legally, this becomes an animal assault case. We have an obligation to report this to the police. To the police? Yes. Intentionally using a dog to attack someone is a serious criminal act. For your child's safety, we need to follow proper procedures. 30 minutes later, Detective O'Connell from the Columbus Police arrived at the hospital. As a veteran police officer, he had handled numerous animal assault cases. Ms. Wilson, please tell me the details of the incident. Lisa explained the sequence of events again. Kayla's bitey command, her subsequent laughter and comment about maybe he looked like dog food, and her mother Dorothy's cold reaction of too overprotective. Are there any witnesses? Detective O'Connell asked. Only my mother and sister. But I think both of them will deny it. I see. However, we have the doctor's report and the victim's testimony. Let's first go to the scene and hear what they have to say. An hour later, the police officers visited Dorothy's house. Kayla and Dorothy couldn't hide their surprise and anger that Lisa had called the police. I don't know what my sister told you, but I didn't do anything, Kayla lied calmly. Rocky got excited and accidentally bit him. Dorothy also defended her daughter. Lisa is upset and not grasping the facts accurately. Kayla would never do such a thing. However, Detective O'Connell was experienced. Then why would the victim's mother need to lie? There's been conflict between the sisters, Kayla answered desperately. Our relationship has deteriorated recently over our father's inheritance. At this moment, a man appeared from the neighboring house. Mark Davis was a streamer who lived in the area. Excuse me, is there anything I can help with? Mark called out. And you are? Detective O'Connell asked. I'm Mark Davis, I live next door. Actually, I was doing a live stream earlier, and I heard the commotion in the yard. The detective's eyes lit up. A live stream? Yes. I was streaming a game, but the window was open and I could clearly hear voices from the neighboring yard. My viewers noticed it too. Is that stream recorded? Of course. Everything is saved. Mark hurriedly took out his smartphone. Kayla and Dorothy's faces turned pale. Audio from Mark's smartphone played the earlier events. Kayla's voice could be clearly heard. Rocky, bite him. Following that were Ethan's screams, Kayla's laughter, and her cruel comment, maybe he looked like dog food? All recorded. This is decisive evidence, Detective O'Connell turned to Kayla. Kayla Hartman, you're under arrest for assault with an animal. Wait. No. Kayla panicked. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used as evidence against you in court. Handcuffed Kayla glared at Lisa until the end. Big sister, you betrayed your family. Dorothy also protested to the police officer. This is a family matter. It's not something for police to get involved in. Ma'am, this is an animal attack case where a child was seriously injured. It can't be dismissed as just a family matter, Detective O'Connell answered calmly. Mark's live stream recording had already begun spreading on the internet. Viewers understood the seriousness of the incident and were sharing it on social media. Comments like, "A child is being attacked by a dog next door," had flowed during the stream, and many people had saved the recording. The next Monday, local news reported the incident. With the headline, "Dog Attack Incident Stemming from Sisterly Conflict," Kayla's arrest and Dorothy's cold comments were reported. Tuesday, online news sites posted more detailed articles. The article titled, "Maybe He Looked Like Dog Food," audio from 5-year-old attack incident spreads, attracted national attention. Wednesday, a major television network's morning show covered the incident. Experts criticized Kayla's actions as unbelievable cruelty and harshly evaluated Dorothy's reaction as failing as a grandmother. Thursday, child protection organizations issued a statement. They declared that such incidents demonstrate the seriousness of child abuse within families and appealed for the importance of legal measures. Friday, Dorothy began receiving cold stares from neighborhood residents. When shopping at the supermarket, she could hear other customers whispering among themselves. That's her, the one who said overprotective when her grandson was bitten by a dog. Unbelievable. What kind of nerve does she have? A week later on Sunday, the incident was reported in detail on a national network news program. Mark's live stream audio was broadcast nationwide, and Kayla and Dorothy's names and faces were shown. The television screen showed images of Kayla being led away in handcuffs and footage of Dorothy answering reporters' questions. However, this was certainly not for any good reason. Lisa was watching that news at the hospital with Ethan. Her son's arm was bandaged, but according to the doctor, he was recovering well. "Mommy, are those Aunt Kayla and Grandma on TV?" Ethan asked. "Yes. But they're people who have nothing to do with us anymore," Lisa gently stroked her son's head. 6 months later, Kayla's sentence was handed down at Franklin County Court in Ohio. The judge stated with a solemn expression, "Defendant Kayla Hartman is sentenced to 3 years in prison for intentional assault with an animal." In court, Kayla showed no signs of remorse until the end. Rather, she glared at Lisa while muttering under her breath about being a traitor who sold out her family. In civil court, Kayla was ordered to pay $300,000 in damages, including medical expenses and compensation. This was an amount impossible to pay on a hairstylist's income. Dorothy's life also changed completely. After the incident was reported, neighborhood residents began avoiding her. Even at the church she had attended for years, she received cold stares from other believers. When standing in line at the supermarket checkout, she could hear the customer in front turning around and whispering. That's her, the one who said overprotective when her grandson was attacked by a dog. I heard she was a former teacher, but it's unbelievable that she doesn't understand children's feelings. Dorothy was tormented by loneliness. Even longtime friends gradually distanced themselves from her. When she called them, they often declined with excuses of being busy. Invitations to reunions from former teacher colleagues also stopped coming. Meanwhile, Lisa and Ethan began walking a new path in life. A year after the incident, they moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. Lisa began working as a full-time librarian at the local university library and was able to live a financially stable life. A small scar remained on Ethan's right arm, but it didn't take away his brightness. He made friends at his new school and, while receiving psychological counseling, was gradually recovering from his trauma. "Mommy, my arm scar is cool, isn't it?" The counselor said it's proof of a brave warrior. Ethan, now 6 years old, still showed his innocent smile. Lisa was moved by her son's strength. Ethan was overcoming an event that would be difficult even for adults to recover from, with childlike purity. In their new city, Lisa found a true family in the real sense. Her workplace colleagues, parents at Ethan's school, neighborhood residents. Though not related by blood, they were true companions who helped each other in times of trouble and shared joys. She became especially close with Sarah, a single mother who lived next door. Sarah had a 7-year-old daughter, Emma, who got along with Ethan like siblings. "Family isn't just about blood relations, is it?" Sarah said one evening after dinner while drinking coffee. "Relationships bound by love and trust might be what real family is." Lisa nodded deeply. "I think so too. For a long time, I kept expecting things from my family just because we were blood relatives. But what's really important is caring for each other." Watching Ethan and Emma playing innocently in the yard, Lisa felt genuine peace. Here, there was no one trying to hurt each other. Only the children's laughter echoed in the evening sky. The $100,000 inheritance from her father was being carefully managed for Ethan's future. Lisa intended to use these funds effectively for her son's education and support him in pursuing his dreams. Sometimes apologetic letters arrived from Dorothy, but Lisa never wrote back. Forgiveness and relationship repair were different things. Ethan's safety and happiness had to be the top priority. Kayla was serving her sentence in prison. She had applied for visits, but Lisa declined. She no longer had any desire to repair the relationship with her sister. One spring evening, while Ethan was playing in the yard, he said, "Mommy, we're happy, aren't we?" "Yes, Ethan. We really are happy." Lisa hugged her son while feeling grateful from the bottom of her heart. Because of that terrible incident, she was able to understand what was truly important. True family was not about blood relations, but bonds connected by love and trust. In the warm human relationships they had built in their new city, Lisa and Ethan found true happiness. Past wounds had healed, and hope for the future filled their hearts.